A shadowy assassin preyed on young black females along the Washington Beltway in the early 1970s. This boogeyman would go on to become recognized as the first profiled serial killer in the D.C. region. And more than 50 years later, their atrocities still plague loved ones and detectives. When Darlenia Denise Johnson's life was taken, she was just 16 years old. Darlenia's mother last saw her at 11:30 a.m. on July the 8th, 1971. Darlenia was employed by Oxen Run Recreational Center. Darlenia was scheduled to stay overnight as part of a sleepover that evening, but she never showed up. The next day, Darlenia's mother filed a missing persons report. It became clear in the days following Darlenia Johnson's disappearance that the police were not much engaged in the case. At least once more, their apathy would be observed. An employee of the D.C. Department of Highways and Traffic started having car problems in mid-July 1971. Moments after he pulled over to the side of I-295, he saw a body lying in the grass, not too far from where Carol Spink's body had been recovered a few months before. The employee from the region informed the D.C. police about the body by calling them, only to learn later that his call was the second one they had received about it that day. Police appeared extremely unwilling to devote time to the case, despite these many sightings of a body along the freeway. A few beat cops would be dispatched to look into the incident, but they failed to try to find the body. Before they even got out of the car to search for the remains, they called in 10-8, known as Nothing to See Here, via their radio. After a few days, Washington, D.C., which was already steamy and muggy, started to experience the dog days of July. On July 19, 1971, as the temperature rose, one of the first callers who had discovered the body decided to go back to the area to check on the status of the investigation. This person shockingly found out that the body remained there for around a week after they had first reported it to the police. The body appeared undisturbed, as though no one had even looked at it, but the summer heat was starting to take its toll. This caller was so incensed at the police inaction that they informed their supervisor over the phone. Then their supervisor decided to phone one of their friends, Charles Baden, a police sergeant in Washington, D.C., who was able to arrive at the spot even though he was not on duty that day, and ultimately got the police involved. After the body was found, it was determined to be that of Darlenia Johnson. The case immediately bore striking similarities to those of Carol Spinks, another adolescent who had been killed a few months earlier. Not only was Johnson's body discovered extremely near to the location where Spinks had been located, but their bodies were a mere 15 feet apart. Furthermore, similar to Carol's, Darlena's was discovered wearing the same outfit when she vanished, and her shoes were gone as well. Sadly, finding any precise information would be difficult to accomplish through an autopsy of the remains. By the time authorities arrived, the body had already decayed too much, making it impossible for the medical examiner to identify whether the girl had been physically assaulted before her death. Authorities had to take the victim's fingers off to collect her fingerprints due to this deterioration. The victim's physical features had crumbled from days of exposure to muggy, swampy temperatures, so there was no other option. The coroner would later declare that there was evidence of strangling, which was loosely applied to the case of the slain Darlenia Johnson, despite not being able to ascertain the formal cause of death. But the tragic murder of Carol Spinks and Darlenia Johnson would not be the end of the killings. The Metropolitan Police Department is currently offering a $150,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. The primary suspect is the Freeway Phantom, but no one knows who they are. Please stay tuned in the following weeks as we cover the other 3 babies in this case. I'm sure you have noticed that there is a difference in these videos as to my other videos. I always make a point to tell you about the victims and what they loved and what they did. I'm sorry to say in these videos I cannot find any information about these babies. I can barely find anything on the historical sites that I research. I have the absolute best subscribers, and one of you sweet ones has been with me since day one. She said to me that she believed that these little girls knew their killer, and I believe she is right. I think this can be solved. The killer obviously was someone they knew from something. There was a tie between these little ones. It could even have been possibly someone from church. It could be anyone. I believe that this person was personal to these little babies. These were good children. From what I could find out online, these were very good little girls. They all went to church. They all made good grades in school, and they all obeyed their parents. These little girls were not out doing something they shouldn't have been. They were running errands or going to work. These were good children, and this person was personal to them. These babies were failed, but it's not too late to fix this. I believe it can be solved. Someone out there knows, and this man is likely still alive. Do not misunderstand me about what I'm about to say. I'm not asking you to share my video. I'm asking you to share the story. Just tell others about this story. We may not be detectives and we may not have any hand in this at all, but word of mouth is very powerful. Maybe it'll hit the right person, jog someone's memory, or perhaps someone out there knows and it will bother their conscience. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.